and tell you all that we really appreciate you all hanging out and waiting for us. We are working on some tech issues, so I wanted to surprise you all with this get up. Those of you who have seen the community post know what I'm talking about. But every time Tiny Blue is joining, the system is kicking her out, so we're trying to figure out exactly what's going on. So I told her that I would go live and try to entertain the masses while she restarts her phone and tries to figure out what's going on. I'm going to be messing around with the stream and trying to get her in here because we all know that she is the main entertainment here anyway. So I'm going to be DMing her the link and hopefully it will work. So basically what we're running into, okay, wait, is she gonna join? Oh, my audio is going in and out. Oh, wait, is this working?
Fingers crossed.
Yes. All right, we're here. We're here.
Hey, sorry about that. I apparently just needed to restart my phone.
Oh, hey, I'm glad that worked. Thank you so much
Me
for
too.
joining me on the channel today.
Appreciate it. Thanks for hosting.
Yeah, of course. As you all know, this is going to be a 2-day live event. We were initially going to have it back-to-back evenings, but apparently, since the universe revolves around Amber Lynn Reed, because her live stream is on Tuesdays, we are going to be doing tonight and then Wednesday night at the same time. Hopefully, we'll be able to start on time next time, but no guarantees because now it's going to be my phone trying to join Tiny's channel. So, thank you all
Oh,
for tuning in to Therapy Today tonight. Um, we are going to be playing a couple of games. We're going to be asking for Tiny's take on Gorlworld and her descent into the madness. And
I had to
on
pull up my.
Wednesday, on Wednesday, we'll also be doing a live giveaway on her channel of Mental Athlete Apparel hat. As you see, they sponsor the channel. They've got awesome stuff. They're about supporting youth with mental health difficulties and challenges and lowering the youth suicide rate. And so 15% of all of their proceeds go towards helping local nonprofits serving local youth with their mental health. So just want to put that plug out there. Check out mentalathleteapparel.com, and we will have a giveaway on Wednesday night. So be sure to tune in then. We'll figure out how to do it. I'm not sure how to do it.
That's a
But yeah,
really cool group that you're working with there. I looked them
yeah,
up after you mentioned them because I was like, who are these people? And I was like, this is a really cool group.
they are. Yeah. So I'm really blessed to be able to connect with them and be able to be a part of the really good work that they're doing. So again, thank you for joining me. Um, I think you probably need no introduction. So let's just dive into some of your history with Amberlyn Reed and some of these other influencers. I guess you can call them influencers, right?
They're influencers, yeah. I
Yeah.
would qualify.
What was your first initial exposure to this whole community? Like, how did you get into all this?
I have a friend in the Philippines, and we've been friends for a really long time. We met online, and this is one of the things that she was watching. And just
Uh,
one day, she sent me a video of Amber. I don't remember what it was about, but I watched it, and first off, I was just amazed. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, Amber's appearance is very shocking at first. So I was kind of drawn in by that, and then just like her overall, she was with her ex partner Beck at the time, and just the way that she spoke to Beck and the way she was just acting in general, I was like, the people aren't really like this. This has to be satire. This has to be a joke. This can't be
mm,
real. And yeah, and then I kept watching because she and I also would talk about it back and forth. So um, for a while there, we were both talking about. We're like, "Oh my God, can you believe she did such and such a thing? And did you see when she did this?" And I got sucked in. So and then I started watching other reactors, and it's all
yeah.
downhill from
And then you joined their ranks yourself.
there. Yes, yes. I used to watch. I still watch a reactor called Kicking Peace, and she does a lot of live reacting. And she was kind of, and this isn't a criticism or anything, but Kicking Gates was kind of on and off with her reacting there for a little while. And I was like, well, I missed it and I have a lot to say, so I'll give reacting a try. And everybody seemed to like it. So here we are. My channel's like roughly over a year old.
Yeah,
So yeah.
that's awesome how quickly you've grown with that. What do you think keeps people coming back? Like you said, there's a lot that initially it's just like, this can't be serious, can it? And so, like,
Well,
what keeps people involved?
I think it depends on how you get to the channel because some people came across Amber when she was still trying to be a weight loss channel. So some
Hmm.
people came to Amber um, trying to find like a weight loss companion. And so some people stuck with her through that because, um, they wanted to have that companion in weight loss. Amber's pushing 600 pounds. If Amber can lose weight, surely I can lose weight. So they get pulled into that. And then you've got people like me who was sucked in by another friend. And so I'm basically just here for I know it sounds so mean, but I'm kind of here for the train wreck aspect of it.
Hmm.
And um, there's a really great channel called Rachel's Rhetoric, and she did a really great video about the train wreck effect and does that apply to the Amberverse? And it really does. And it's just the idea that human beings enjoy, there's certain things that human beings enjoy. We love a good story, we love a
Yep.
good tragedy, we love a good comedy. And Amber's life kind of falls into that kind of a category, and it's one of those things. And I think a lot of people use her as a way of it's kind of a form of escapism too. Amber herself even mentioned it. She's like, there's these people and they watch my life and it helps them escape their own lives for a little while. And I'm like, yeah, actually it does.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
I think
Maybe
we'll
not.
continue
Maybe
on.
not in the way that we would typically expect in thinking of escape or entertainment as escape, but I can definitely see that.
Yeah. Well, it's like
Hmm.
trash TV, reality television. Why do
Yeah.
people like watching the Real Housewives of whatever? You
Right.
know?
For sure. Okay. So let me ask you this. So this is a game that I thought we would play on and off throughout the night. It's
Okay.
called blind rankings. So those of you who
Okay.
are on YouTube or Instagram probably seen this format in the past couple of months. But basically, I'm going to be presenting Tiny Blue 5 options, but I'm only listing one at a time, and she doesn't know what's coming next. So she has to rank them in order from 1 to 5, and we will see how hot her takes are and how good her rankings end up being.
Good time.
So let's start with this, all right? Rank these 5 social media platforms without knowing what comes next.
Okay.
Okay, so you got 1 through 5. Where do you put
Okay.
TikTok?
Oh, is it TikTok? Wait,
Yeah.
I'm just getting it mixed up with Twitter. TikTok, I don't know, a good solid three. It's 1 through 5, so a good
Okay,
solid
right in
three.
the middle. Okay.
Yeah,
All right, playing it safe to start out with. What do you do with Vine? Where is that going?
I don't even remember Vine, so I guess a one. I remember it existed. I'm
You
old,
ever
but
do
I'm not
anything
that.
with it?
No, I think by the time I figured out Vine existed, they killed it. So I never really had a chance to do anything with it.
Okay, fair enough. Where are we putting that then? I didn't hear you.
As a one, we'll put that as a one.
1. Oh, putting it right at the top spot.
Oh wait, five then. I'm sorry. One's the
Oh,
best and
5.
five's the
Okay.
worst. So let's put that
Yeah,
down
sorry.
as
Yeah.
a five. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah. It's a ranking, so 1 is the top.
Gotcha.
Okay. What about Instagram?
Hmm. I used to really like Instagram actually, so I can put that as a two, I think.
Okay, saving your top spot.
Yeah, I don't know what you're gonna throw at me.
Okay.
I'm gonna get stuck with Twitter, aren't I?
YouTube.
Well, I mean, YouTube's been good to me as far as being a reactor and a creator. So, I mean, I guess I could put that as a one, honestly, because this is where I live now.
Okay. And so that leaves your number 4 spot.
Okay.
And our last one is MySpace.
Okay, that can be 4.
What do you think of your list? Are you happy with that?
I'm
YouTube,
actually pretty
Instagram,
happy with that.
TikTok. Yeah. Yeah, I thought you
I
played it pretty
play
well.
MySpace a lot, actually. I used MySpace quite a bit when it was, the thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. So let me ask you this then. What was the point when you realized, like, uh-oh, I'm here for good within this universe or community?
Uh, I so when I very first started reacting, and everybody was really because my channel grew really fast,
Hmm.
and I was very surprised at how quickly. I figured I would just be one of these like teeny tiny channels for a long time, and I'm not a huge channel. Um, but I think when I hit 9,000 subscribers, I was like, oh. I mean, also there's that over 9,000 joke, but at the same time, I was like, I'm really close to 10, and that was
Hmm.
just kind of I was like, well, people like this. They like the because I branched out to different topics at that point, and so people are actually watching. I mean, I don't mean to sound arrogant, but people are actually watching my content because I'm putting it out, and it's not just
Right.
because it's another Amberlyn channel.
Yeah. No, I totally get it. I think there's a point at which the switch kind of flips for YouTube,
Mhm.
it feels like, where at some point people are coming to watch you and your analysis and whatever you say or do, as opposed to just solely the subject matter.
Right,
So
right, right.
it seems like you've kind of turned that corner, and that's really cool.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that people find me interesting enough to watch my incredibly long videos. So
Oh,
I
for sure.
can for an hour.
I think you do bring a lot of um, really cool analysis and just like a lot of wit to it as well. So it's
Oh,
entertaining, it's interesting, and I think that'll keep people coming back for sure.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Um, so let's turn your eye to the community around you that makes up a lot of your channel, a lot of your Discord, all of that. What do you find unique or fascinating about this community that you're surrounded with?
My community in particular, I'm very fortunate. I have a very good, um, and I think a lot of it is because I'm not a huge channel. I have a
Hmm.
very good community. They're respectful for the most part. I don't have to worry about monitoring comments too much. There have been a few, but you're going to get a couple of those. But for the most part, my community seems to be here for the discussion and not so much for
Hmm.
the jokes and that kind of stuff. Not that people don't make jokes. It's just I'm trying to be
As we
like
see in the chat.
my group is better, but they are they are a subset of Gorlworld and of like the Amberverse in particular. So
Mhm.
I find that to be the most fascinating is they the greater they have all created this universe that revolves around Amber for one and the other girls as well. And it's not just the girls. I mean, Nikocado Avocado was part of it as well. So it's not like it's just female personalities. There
Right.
just happens to be a lot of female personalities. Um, so it's fascinating to me that they just kind of pulled together and just created an entire community around it. And it's a very strong community that continues, like it grows.
Hmm.
So
Yeah. I think you said that even when we were planning this out, like talking about the Discord, that was like self-organized. It's not like you were trying to push it and bring people to it. That people just
yeah,
yeah, that's
I don't
amazing.
run the Discord. Yeah, I don't run the Discord. The Discord's run by a friend of mine, and she and I met through the Amberverse.
Mhm.
And so she organized the Discord first, and I just asked if I could have a space in it, and she was like, "Yeah, sure." So I have a channel in this very large Discord that isn't just Girl World related, and that's another really interesting aspect. There are many forums that revolve around Amber and the other girls and the universes and that stuff. And I think the Discord that I'm in is also a very healthy Discord because there's a lot of there are more channels dealing with non-girl world stuff than there are channels that deal with the girl world. So there's
Sure.
it's more of a community and people looking to talk to each other and build relationships as you do online kind of a thing. So
Yeah, that's very cool. What if you have any stories, what's like your weirdest YouTube interaction that you've run, or like weirdest comments that you've gotten?
Oh, there's somebody that keeps commenting about my earphones, my headphones, and I'm
Oh,
not
pink
entirely sure
ones.
what their problem is. Yeah, my big pink ones, where are they? I think they're out in the living room because I was editing
Who's
earlier,
got a
but
problem with that?
I don't know, but they've commented like 2 times now, and they're just like, "Why are your headphones so big?" And I'm like, "'Cause they're headphones." And then the second time they
That's just
commented,
how
they were
they
like,
make them.
"Yeah," they were like, "Other reactors don't wear them," and I'm like, "Cool. I don't know what you want me to say. Like, they're comfortable. Like, all right." So that's been the weirdest thing, honestly. I
Hmm.
figure if that's the worst of it, I'm doing pretty
Well,
good.
you're pretty good off.
Yeah. I mean, I get rude stuff, but not often. I really don't get a lot of bad stuff.
Yeah.
I just
Uh,
I just want to draw that, I think, and I don't have like it's part of being a smaller channel though.
hmm. Yeah. I do think that in what you're talking about, both of us have been really blessed that our communities are generally very dialogue focused, very supportive, and able to have that discourse without
Yeah,
being too mean about it. And then also,
right.
like you said, nobody getting super angry or super offensive in the comments, or maybe I just haven't seen them.
I've
So
seen a
yeah,
couple
that's,
fights break out in the comment section here and
uh,
there between commenters, but they never seem to be anything where like I need to step in or I need to like halt comments or anything like I don't really know what I could do, honestly.
mhm,
It's not like I can freeze the comment thread, but
yeah,
there hasn't been anything where I've been like, oh, I maybe I should say something and tell them to stop.
mhm,
I mean, there's been some people who have dropped some like unsavory things that the YouTube filter didn't catch, and so
yes,
people will jump on them for that, and it's just like, I mean, I'm not going to stop that dog pile because I mean, you kind of deserve that, but as far as like disagreements about things in girl work, because there's a lot of controversies, there's a lot of things
of
people don't
course,
agree about. Yeah. And, you know, people for the most part are willing to at least admit that they can disagree, they can agree to disagree, you know?
yeah, that's very refreshing for sure. All right, so let me pull another blind ranking for you if you don't mind.
Okay.
Rank these 5 pastimes without knowing what comes next. All right, what would you
All
do
right.
with outdoor activities? Again, you have 1 through 5.
Oh,
So
just any
let's,
outdoor activity?
yeah, let's taking a walk, hiking, or whatever.
Probably, yeah, 2?
2, okay, pretty high
I
up
think.
there.
Yeah, I don't know what else you're throwing at me, but I like being outdoors mostly.
Okay, what kind of stuff do you like doing outdoors?
I like to hike a lot.
Okay.
I like to swim when I can. I started going to the ocean since I moved this close to
Oh
the coast.
wow.
Yeah, I
Uh-huh.
never lived near the ocean before, so that's been a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
I used to work outside a lot, so I don't know if
Oh,
that counts.
yeah, for
But pretty
sure.
much it right now is the hiking and going to the beach. So,
That's awesome. Okay. What about reading?
oh, yeah, I think reading's probably at a 3 right now. I would
Okay.
like to read more than I do, but I don't.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay. Social media.
uh, so yeah, 4.
Or
But I wish social media was better, but you know,
okay. Fair enough. Let's see how you like these rankings. How about going out with friends? You have one
oh
and
yeah,
five left.
yeah, that video, that's good. That's a good one. Yeah,
Okay.
going out with real people is always better.
Okay. Okay. So that
So
leaves your
what's the?
number 5 spot where we're putting gaming.
Oh no!
All right. How happy are you with that list?
I'd probably switch social media and gaming. Honestly,
Okay. Yeah.
I do like gaming quite a bit.
Mhm. Yeah. You were playing it too safe early on.
Yeah. Otherwise, I'm okay with all of that. Yeah.
Oh, that's a pretty. I think it's hard to put any of those like as a really bad number 5. I think
Yeah. No.
they're all
Yeah.
enjoyable.
Yeah. They are. That's the problem with social media. It's engineered to be enjoyable. So.
for sure.
Of course, it's enjoyable.
So I think people have been commenting for the cats, so mine just came up.
Ah, he's so
Uh,
pretty. Well,
I
I
don't
put
know if
mine
you guys
out.
wonder. Yeah, I don't
No,
know if you'll show up on video sometimes, but
he
yeah,
likes to knock things over, and I didn't want to deal with that tonight. I'll have him next time.
that's fair. Yeah, I didn't know if he was gonna show up, but I think
Oh,
he's been like trained sort of, so whenever I'm sitting here, he wanders by.
aw, he's so
But
sweet, though.
I think I've recorded with him enough that he knows.
There you go. He's like, yes, I would like some of those, please.
Yeah, yeah, I know. Now he's paying attention.
Aw. Does he have a ragdoll in him? Do you know?
I don't know, but he's like, yeah, he's really flexible.
The big old boy.
All right, so I have not met your. I think you have multiple cats, right?
I do. I have three.
Okay, I have not met them. Could you at least talk me through them if they're not here to say hi?
Well, I have a tabby. His name is Iki. He is not camera friendly at all. He doesn't really like being held, so he's really hard to get on camera. The best I can do with him is pictures.
Uh-huh.
The white one, his name is Bragnir. He's one of two siblings that we kept from a litter of seven.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we rescued a mama cat. Oh my God, they're going to be 8 this year, aren't they? No, they're going to be 7 this year.
Oh,
Either way. So
uh-huh.
7 years ago, we rescued a cat, and she had 7 kittens,
Wow.
and we kept Bragnir, and the other cat is Nessa, and she's like this big. She's a very small cat, but
Uh-huh.
Nessa and Iki, we call that. That's the couple. They paired off, and then Bragnir just kind of hangs out. So,
Mm-hmm. Very
but
cool.
yeah, my babies.
Yeah. Yeah. So now that you've been doing this for about a year, I think you said, like, what's your personal feeling every time, like, let's say Amber specifically, since that's who I'm most familiar with.
Right.
What's your personal feeling when she posts another video and you're watching and thinking about like reacting to it? Or I don't even know what your process is. Maybe you just see it and react to it.
I used to just see it and react to it.
Uh-huh.
Amber's been going through. Amber has cycles, and
Mm-hmm.
Amber is going through a cycle right now where she's okay. So she actually kind of ended the non-tent cycle where she was just kind of haphazardly putting videos out that really didn't have anything in them, and so reacting to them was basically pointless. She does
Mm-hmm.
that from time to time. Yeah, I'm sitting here talking like it's a personal affront, but she's recently started a new schedule where she's trying to put out, I think, 4 videos a week.
I think I
And one
saw
of the
something like that.
Yeah, and I'm actually pretty happy with it because she's trying, and she she does well when she actually tries. So she's got a long form video that seems to be coming in around 20 to 30 minutes, which for her is a very long video.
Uh-huh.
And then she's got another one where she's basically just doing Q&A stuff, which, it's the same questions every week. And then
Okay.
she's doing a eat with me. No, she's doing a what I eat in a day, and then she's doing a oh, what's the last one? Oh, her weigh in on Wednesdays. And
Okay.
so, I mean, yes, they're all interesting, but I don't feel like I need to really react to every single video. So right now, I'm just kind of reacting to the vlog, the longer form one.
Mm-hmm.
And if I hear a question in the Q&A videos, the what is she calling them? Talk with me or something like that. If I hear a question that I feel like I
Uh-huh.
want to talk about, I'll follow that one. But for the most part, I'm not really following the shorter videos because it's nice to have it, and I'm glad she's doing it. And I think it grounds her as a channel, and it definitely helps her create content that people are interested in seeing. But as far as
Yeah.
reacting to it, I really don't find any kind of value in it for my channel because of the way my
Yeah.
channel works.
Yeah. You're not just talking about her everyday life. You're actually trying to like find something
Yeah.
to discuss. And by the way, Nicole Wide put in a super chat. So thank you so much for the support. Really appreciate that. Um,
Yay.
yeah. All right. So let's do. Hmm. I'm trying to think. I've got some other blind rankings for you. How about this one? Rank these 5 popular foods without knowing what comes next. I hope this one
Ooh,
doesn't become too controversial. I think people might have some strong opinions about this one. Where would you
what
put
foods are
tacos?
tacos?
Yeah.
Uh, I'm gonna start at three with that one. I'm gonna put tacos at
Okay.
a three. I don't
Okay.
hate them. They're not like my go-to.
Okay.
Cat
What
food.
about pizza?
Hmm.
Oh, someone already said I'm ready to fight people about pizza.
Sorry, Allie. Pizza can cause a four. I'm not
Right.
crazy about pizza.
Oh, okay. What
Allie
would
and I
be
are
your
no longer
favorite?
friends, apparently.
What would be your favorite pizza topping?
Oh God. All right. Well, now I'm gonna make everybody hate me. I like anchovies and pineapple, and I
I
like
guess.
them together. So
You all can dissect my reaction in the replay after.
it's okay. I usually don't have to share.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the pineapple's gonna start something in the chat.
I'm sure.
Okay. So you got 1, 2, and 5 left.
Okay.
What about burgers?
Hmm. I'm gonna take a chance and put that at a five.
Ooh, okay, that's bold.
Yeah, I'm not a big burger fan either. I know I'm weird.
Well,
Allie.
no, I can get like you can get some really bad burgers. So I think like
Yeah,
pizza and tacos generally like it's pretty standard, but like burgers you can have really bad ones.
yeah. I mean, I don't crave burgers hardly
Mm,
ever. So
yeah. Okay, that's good. Who just came in? She doesn't like peanut butter either.
I don't like peanut butter.
Your community's out in you.
I know. Like they pay attention or something.
All right, 1 and 2 spots.
Okay.
Barbecue.
Oh, I like barbecue. Ooh.
Mm.
Are we talking like southern barbecue or northern barbecue?
You can take your pick. I don't know where you're located at. I know you said you're Eastern time, so I assume you're in an
Yeah.
area of some kind.
Well, I grew up Midwest, so I mean, I do
Okay.
like barbecue. I will put it at a two. So, because
Okay.
I don't know what one is, I'm probably just put myself in a corner here.
All right, so that means your number 1 is fried chicken.
Oh, that's fine.
Okay.
That's fine.
Okay. Sounds like we're pretty happy with that list.
I am actually. Yeah, fried chicken's good
Okay.
stuff.
Nice. Nice. All right. So let me ask this. What is your cats if they have different tastes, like what are their favorite treats or like things to eat?
The little girl is very picky.
Oh
The
yeah.
only thing she likes is those. I think they're called churros. Those little liquid
Oh yeah.
pap. Oh my
Mm-hmm.
God, she would shoot you for a churro. That's pretty much it. The boys, they'll eat anything. Iki especially, he'll eat anything.
Uh-huh.
Bragner's the only one that'll eat. We like to give him raw meat when we cook,
Uh-huh.
uh, and Bragner's the only one that'll eat the beef fat. The
Oh,
other
okay.
cats care for the beef fat, so he's a beef fat cat.
Oh.
Otherwise, they're just garbage disposals, honestly.
That's great. Like when we adopted Kitty, he was on a grain-free diet, so we had to be kind of careful
Oh,
with what he eats. So we always joke that he's gluten-free because of that.
yeah.
But he loves chicken, and so every time I prepare like instant pot chicken, once it starts to release the steam, he can smell it and he comes running. And so
He's a
we
kid
gotta
in that kitchen.
give him his tax before we can actually serve ourselves.
Yeah, we have a cat. It's not really a cat tree. It's like one of those cat pedestals. It's just like the little
Uh,
place where they can lay down, and it's right on the edge of where the kitchen is because we don't let the cats all the way into the kitchen.
oh,
It
okay.
kind of works, kind of works. But they know if
Mm,
they sit there on the pedestal, we have to like give them the cat tax, and that's scraps or a head pat or something
yeah,
when we're cooking. And they will. They know if they go there, they're going to get a treat or something. So
yeah.
I
Do they?
don't know which trained us, which one have trained who.
Yeah, I've never figured that out. Um, hmm. I had another cat related question, but I forgot it. Oh, it'll occur to me later. Well, I know everyone's been very active on the chat. I think you've answered all of my questions, and I've got a couple more blind rankings, but we don't have to beat that to death. How about we turn to chat for a little bit and see
All right.
if anyone has any questions for us to discuss, any follow-ups on stuff that we've talked about. I am, I have a laptop open next to me with the chat, but I am so
Okay.
behind right now that I don't even have any clue where to start.
I didn't even think about doing that. I just opened up a little thingy that was not useful. Anyway, was the super chat a question?
I don't think so. The super chat was Gorlworld is Hotel California.
Yes.
Okay. Actually,
I
you know
agree.
what? How about you explain that reference to me? Because I've heard that a lot now. I don't know if it's just the cultural reference or if there's actually like something in that.
Oh, but you can never leave.
Yeah,
So Girl World has more. Like I was gonna say, Girl World has more than just Amber in it. There's
right.
I cover. Let's see, how many girls do I cover now? Three or four,
Uh-huh.
depending on which one online at the time.
Hmm.
And that's kind of the thing. Like as soon as one of the girls stops being interesting, another one of them will act up, and that becomes the interesting girl. At the moment, we used to call it like the rotating crown of Girl World. Um, and I think that's kind of the maybe the Hotel California version of it is like once you start going down the rabbit hole, you can't get out. Like
Hmm.
you think you can, but then you're finding yourself at 3 in the morning going, man, I bet when she said XYZ, she really meant
Um,
ZYA, and yeah,
yeah.
and then you start getting invested in the side characters and what they
Hmm.
really meant when they said whatever, and the next thing you know, you're making reaction videos. So
Yeah, that is pretty wild. Like, I mean, I almost think of it as like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, like where they have like, they have the one movie that they start off with, but then, oh, now you got to get backstories for all the other characters, and they get their own movies, and
oh yeah,
it
yeah,
just
it,
grows
it
and
really is
grows.
kind of like that. Kind of tempted to. I don't know what you're talking about. Which one you're talking about, Annie? Oh, the dark anthropology. I'm sorry, I'm reading the actual.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah. I'm doing the
uh,
same.
yeah, I started covering Alex. So quirky, quirky, very wisely decided that being online chronically was affecting her mental health, and
Hmm.
she decided to leave. And I honestly applaud her for that because a
Yeah,
lot of the girls like Amber would probably do a lot better if she would just log out.
yeah,
Um, but Quirky's been the only one who's managed to do it, and she's been gone. I don't know if I'm almost a month at this point.
uh-huh.
So
That's
yeah,
pretty good.
she's yeah. No, I actually am pretty happy for her. So I saw Ali's question about the dark anthropology. So
Huh?
if you is it okay if I answer that one?
Oh, please. Yeah, this is
Okay.
this is your platform right now.
Well, I know, but I don't want to like dog. It's my time.
But it is.
So I needed a hook for my channel, and I am. People always ask me this. I my undergrad's in anthropology,
Hmm.
and then I did 22 years of archaeology as a field
Hmm.
archaeologist,
Wow.
and yeah, I retired because I got tired of getting hurt. But I did go back for a master's degree. I didn't complete it, but I did go back for it. This was during COVID, so and
Hmm.
I was like, well, might as well give it a spin. So I was like, well, I've got the anthropology, and you never really stop once you do anthropology, you never stop doing anthropology. You're
Uh-huh.
like you're screwed. So I was like, all right, well, let me give the world an anthropology spin. But because the girls are mostly like people look at them for their manipulation and for their lying and just for their negative aspects.
Hmm.
And I know that there's a form of psychology that people call dark psychology, where they're looking at manipulation and that kind of stuff. And I was like, well, maybe I can apply that to anthropology. So I
Mm.
basically borrowed that idea and brought it into anthropology. And then I started looking in. the archives and stuff and looking at in papers and things, and there already are people who are studying that kind of stuff. They just weren't calling it dark anthropology. They were calling it
Sure.
the anthropology of manipulation, or a lot of politics, people looking at politics and that kind of
Oh, I'm
stuff.
sure.
Yeah, so that's where the dark anthropology was born. There was one other woman who wrote a paper, and she mentions the concept of dark anthropology, but that's pretty
Hmm.
much it. She kind of mentions it, and then she kind of
Okay.
moves on. That wasn't the purpose of the paper, but
Okay.
I would be remiss if I didn't say that.
So you're saying that if you ever were to try to like write your thesis or do your doctorate, you have a term that you can start
Oh, it'd
studying and writing a paper on.
I tell a lot of people that though. I tell a lot of people, because I have a surprising number of people who are either going through their undergrad or who are working on their masters in like social sciences. And I
Yeah.
tell people like, you want a paper, pick a topic. There's just so much here. You can look at Amber, you can look at the
Mhm.
Hater Nation, you can look at
Yeah.
the Reddit. There's so much to look at.
Yeah.
But
I know I saw some questions come through while you were talking. Um, Someone asked, Becky asked question, did either of you watch Life by Jen? So sad. That doesn't ring any bells for me, so I don't know if that means something to
I
you.
did. I did watch Life by Jen. I wasn't reacting at that point, and it
Okay.
is very sad. Life by Jen was another one of the girls, and she didn't make it. She was
Hmm.
trying to lose weight. She tried doing keto. She at the time was living with her fiance that she met. He was a recovering addict, and she met him through an addiction recovery program.
Hmm.
So there was just a lot of things that people would consider red flags going on with her. And then I forget what year she actually passed away. Was it during COVID? Anyway, she got sick basically and had to check into the hospital, and she
Hmm.
she never checked out. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, I mean, some of the
Hmm.
girls don't make it. Like there's another woman. There's two girls right now. Not trying to be terribly morbid, but
Hmm.
um, one of the girls, Candy, she's a hungry fat chick, isn't doing well. People really seem to like her though. She has a really nice personality, and she's
Hmm.
not trying to like. I don't know. Candy's just nice, I guess, and she's not mean, and she's not horrible, and she's not manipulative or any of that kind of stuff. She just is what she is, and she's never tried to be anything other than that. Like her channel's called Hungry Fat Chick.
Hmm.
So, but unfortunately, her health is not great, and she's been very open about that. And then
Hmm.
one of the other contenders for the Gorlworld crown is a channel called Foodie Beauty, and the woman's name is Chantel. And I don't know, man. Uh, the
I got a
joke is,
lot of suggestions to dive into her content
I,
and a lot of warnings to not do so.
yeah, I don't know, man. I, at the same time that I'm like really curious what your take would be, Chantel is somebody I would really warn people away from.
Right.
She's not a fun topic to talk about.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah. Um, let's see. I saw some other questions. Sorry, I'm just looking back. Uh, okay. I don't know you all says, what do you regret most about entering Girl World? So that's probably more of a question for you since I'm on my exit strategy, I think.
oh, are you? Are you though?
We
I
are
saw your
trying.
latest video. Are you? I did like your latest video though.
Thank you.
Um, I think I don't know the thing I regret the most. I don't know. I becoming a more public figure. I guess
Mm,
my face is out there. My name is out there.
for sure.
Uh, you're just public. You're just a public figure. So
Mhm.
um, you give up that privacy. But I mean, I knew that going into it. So
Yeah.
I'm not a faceless channel. I don't know if I
Yeah.
would. I mean, thinking back, I'm like, would I have done like the faceless channel thing? And I'm like, maybe. But I mean, even the faceless channels get found
Yeah.
out eventually. So
Yeah. That's crazy. Um, yeah. I think one thing that would be very tempting, I think, is that there's like you said, there's a big enough community that you're always going to have an audience. And so I think that can, at least for me, I had to put some thought into like, how far do I want to push this? Because it's like guaranteed views, guaranteed growth, at least for a little while.
Yes.
So that was definitely very tempting and had to consider that. And so I think I'm happy with where I am right now.
I've seen several channels that just sort of dip in and dip out because I know
Yeah.
you cover other YouTube personalities here and there, and you cover other topics on your channel that are
Yeah.
kind of hot topics in the moment, like the
Mm.
Ruby Frankie. Yeah, that's her name, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Ruby Frankie thing, because we were bringing that up. And so I think if you wanted to kind of yo-yo in and out, I think you'd
Mm-hmm.
be okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it is tempting because I've seen a lot of channels that have tried to, I guess, ride the coattails is kind of the
Yeah.
same, and it's,
Sure.
I don't know. I think you get lucky, honestly. If you try to start a channel from scratch these days, I think you just get lucky, and you really do have to get the community's attention. And if the community likes you, they'll
Mm-hmm.
keep watching you. But if they don't, I mean, you're going to stay a small channel. So it's not a guaranteed thing, but you'll at least get somebody to watch you at least once. So
Yeah. And that's very cool. Like, I think that was, I might talk more about this when we do Wednesday, but like, it was kind of surreal for me to see somebody reacting to a video that I made. That was such a strange experience for me.
well, so I didn't realize we were going to be having a conversation. But the fact that you're a therapist and you were looking into Amber
Uh-huh.
really intrigued me because
Yeah.
people are constantly talking about, well, and Amber talks about it too, her mentals,
Yeah.
and this BPD arc that she's on. And I don't want to suck you in too far because also I understand that like people who have professions, like you can't diagnose over the internet, and you're not here to like undiagnose her, and you're not here to like, you're not her doctor, and even if you were, like, the internet is not the place to be doing these things, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But you came in, and the way that you were looking at Amber, and you were looking at the BPD, and you were looking at the things that she was saying about it, and and your body language was funny. um, but I just really appreciated the fact that you were a professional who was willing to even just glance at her and maybe give us some insight into what she thinks she's dealing with. Because again, there's a lot of controversy around, does she even have BPD? Which is not, I mean, it's not a question you should be answering, I guess, is kind of my point. Like,
Right.
I don't want to pull somebody into that and be like, oh, because I don't feel like that's something that we should do. I know there's a lot of people who would like someone to do that, but it's just not something. It's just not something professionals should be doing on the internet.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
right. So I just was really fascinated that you took the risk of making that video, and then I
Yeah.
talked a lot, so that's why it ended up being a hard thing.
Yeah.
So
And Just Jamie did a super chat, so thank you so much for the support, Just Jamie. She says, he or she, I guess, because Jamie, I guess, is a unisex name. Obese to Beast covers Amber here and there when it's relevant to his interests. I think we are lacking a mental health professional in this space. Uh, from what I can tell, that position is still open, so somebody can still take it.
JB's trying to draw you in. Leave him alone. Leave him alone. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, Obese to Beast he's one of the OG reactors. So he's a guy who was obese. It's in his name. He was a guy who was very obese. He lost a crap ton of weight. I think, did he win his physique? He went on to participate in like a men's physique competition,
Oh,
and I don't remember if he won or not, but he looked great. Um,
good for him.
so yeah, so he like completely turned his life around, and so he reacts to a lot of the Gorlworld creators, and he's one of the nicer reactors, I think. And I think he aggravates people sometimes because he's a little too nice, but I
Yeah,
mean, we all have our way of reacting, and I'm sure we irritate each other frequently, so it's fine.
for sure.
Um,
Yeah.
don't fight in the
Um,
comments.
yeah. There was a
I was
commenter, Raven asked, "Do you believe it is self-hatred or selfishness that causes people to repeat harmful cycles, or both?"
eh,
Uh, I feel like that question needs a little more context, but generally, I'm going to go into therapist mode for a second here.
yeah,
I would think if someone, well, I would ask kind of what form that self-hatred or selfishness takes, but like in terms of behavior and patterns of behavior, I generally think most of us are not mindful of the patterns that we engage in. And so more often than not, it's probably autopilot more than anything else. At some point, it may have been something more kind of intentionally self-hatred or selfishness. Um, but I think until we shine a spotlight on that problematic behavior or pattern, then it's more so just what we're used to doing. And sometimes we just don't know a better option. So thank you for asking that question. People might disagree with me. That's totally fair too. I'm trying to scrub through this for questions. I don't know if you saw any that you want to pick up on.
I'm going to attempt to scroll on my phone and not screw everything up.
Okay, well, Kat said, what was the most shocking part of dipping your toes in Gorlworld? So
Was
I think
that aimed
that's,
here at you?
yeah, that might be directed towards me. The most shocking part, I think I don't know if shocking is quite the right word, but something that was surprising for me was just how invested people seemed in their not clinical, but like their diagnosis of what was going on. There's like people very opinionated, very this is how things are for this person, and so that was something that I had to try to avoid, especially like you talked about before. Being a professional, I can't claim to know um, what she's thinking, what she's intending. But I think that was something that I've seen in other reactions too, but like especially people are very opinionated within this whole community that they know she's lying when she says X, Y, or Z, or that she actually means, like you said, like people can
Yeah,
dissect everything.
and I know I'm guilty of that on more than one occasion myself, but I people come at her from so many, or they people see themselves or they see someone
Hmm.
close to them in her. I hear a lot of people like say that she's my mother, she's my sister, she's my ex-boyfriend
Hmm.
kind of a thing, and
Yeah.
they see her behaviors in those people, and so I see people who sometimes take her behavior personally, and I always find that fascinating because like she doesn't know who the fuck we are. Like half
Yeah.
the time I personally think she just treats the camera like a person, and everybody on the other side of that camera is just basically the people. The camera is the person, and
Hmm.
so when she's yelling at us, she's basically yelling at the person camera, right? So
Hmm.
she does individually, she doesn't know who we are.
Sure.
But yeah, people do get really invested in stuff, and people do have really, um, people really do think like, oh, she's lying about this because, and I know she's lying because X, Y, Z,
Yeah.
and they make some really good arguments.
For sure.
But, yeah, but I mean, we can't ever 100% know
Yeah.
because we're not Amber, and we're not there. But she has been documenting her life for 11, going on 12 years on the
Yeah.
internet
It's a
now.
long
So
track record.
yeah, there's been people who have literally followed her that entire time. So there's
Yeah.
quite a bit of documentation. So
For sure. For sure. Um, I saw another super chat that was
I think my chat's
B
frozen. So
B Lynn Bia. This is one of those Southern names, like BEA. I don't know how to pronounce that, so I apologize for that. But they're suggesting put questions in all caps to be seen easily. We appreciate that. Maybe we can put that into place next time we do this on Wednesday.
Well, next time Kim will actually be a mod and she'll whip everybody into shape. Her and Diary.
Yeah. It's going to be a lot fancier when Tiny Blue does it.
I just turn my mods loose and just like, you guys, you do that, and then I just talk.
All right. Well, let's see. Yeah, I don't. B Lynn. Okay, thank you. Thank you for telling me how to pronounce your name. I apologize.
So, are you from the South, or did you move to the South?
So I guess I've always been in like technically the South, but I've been kind of on the close to the Mason-Dixon line for a lot of my life. So
Gotcha.
I think probably less Southern than you might expect given where I've lived.
Gotcha. So you went deeper south. You're like, this isn't south enough. I must go deeper.
Right. Yeah. Let's see. I think we've got most of the questions taken care of. Please feel free to message it again if I missed it. There's a lot of chats, so I apologize.
Yeah, chat stopped for me, so I.
Okay, so I'm sorry. I'm gonna try to keep up myself. Oh, now I've been invited a lot of questions.
Yeah, the last thing I've got here is Josh Shorty saying of himself on his Discord, knowing there was children on it. I don't know what we're talking about. I don't want to know.
I have totally lost the thread of the conversation.
Yeah, there's several conversations going on. So
Yeah.
that's the fun thing about the chat.
Yeah.
So when you were listening to Amber talk about the book, the workbook that she was going through, you seem to have reservations about the book itself, not really anything that she was particularly doing. What were your thoughts about the book itself from what you heard of it? Like, I know you didn't hear too much of it, but just the few chapters you did hear.
Yeah. So somebody commented on that video that apparently that book was done by a psychologist or somebody who's on YouTube as well. I don't know what bearing that has on it, but that's just some added context. I don't think the information was wrong. Now, the statistic that that we pulled out about the prevalence of borderline personality disorder, I think didn't match up with the NIH article that I found, but I'm sure there are different ways of counting. So I don't know if what the author meant originally was just like within a clinical population, you would see a prevalence of, what was it, 6%, I think is what he said.
Yeah, 6%.
Yeah, where in like general population, it was much lower based on the NIH article. So I don't know whether she kind of took it out of context or whether it's hard to say without having the book in front of me.
Gotcha.
But what I understood from the NIH article where I found the 6%, I think he said in a general practice population, I think probably in like a general mental health practice, you would expect that population to have a prevalence of 6%. And then of course, as you get into more intense fields, like you talk about intensive outpatient or inpatient or acute hospitalization, of course, because borderline has a lot of those tendencies towards impulsivity, self-harm, risk-taking behaviors, you would expect to see a high percentage of people diagnosed.
Yeah, I thought the percentage one really surprised me by how off it was. Somebody got in my comments and they wrote the line out apparently from the book, and they cited the page and everything. So I feel comfortable with it, but I feel like buying the book myself. I wonder. I really do wonder if it's a typo, because if you put a point in front of that, it falls nicely into the general population numbers that the NIH was giving.
Yeah.
But like you remove that point, and it really does put it in a weird place. So I'm just hoping it's a typo because it really was the things that you seem to have had issues with in the workbook kind of gave me pause
Hmm.
about the workbook itself. So I was kind of like,
Uh,
hmm,
yeah, and I don't ever want to disparage someone else's work, so I want to give them the benefit of the doubt in that I think like what I said in the reaction was that the clinical language is all correct. Like there's nothing technically wrong with it, and that I think that was the other point that you kind of pulled apart a little bit. Um, so in the sense that like he is communicating factual information, these are the diagnostic criteria.
right,
I just thought it may not have been the most helpful presentation of it, unless maybe there was more in the chapter saying like, this is what that would look like in the real world if you were struggling with borderline personality disorder, and this is how you kind of differentiate between something that's clinically significant versus something that may be problematic but not doesn't rise to the level of being diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. So I would hope that I think he's a PhD. I think he was a doctor or something. But understanding that and being able to communicate that effectively, I think would be important in any book,
right.
any clinical diagnosis. So I'm going to hope that he went into more detail about that, and she was just looking at certain select portions. Obviously, we weren't seeing all of what she read.
Right. And that's probably, and I don't think that was her being particularly deceptive or anything. I mean, nobody's going to sit there and read the entire chapter word for word.
No.
You're not supposed to do that, in general, and B, no one should do that. So I don't think she was being particularly deceptive in that moment. It's just the way it ended up coming off uh,
Yeah.
was a little problematic. But again, I don't think Amber I don't think Amber is as I know I'm gonna trigger some people. I don't think Amber as constantly diabolically deceptive as she
Hmm.
sometimes gets credited as being. Um, but I do think sometimes she just needs to be so special that she's like, I aced that quiz. I got 9 out of 9. Well, you don't have to, but okay,
Right.
kind
Hmm.
of a thing.
Yeah.
But no, I was just really interested in the way you were reacting to the book itself. So I was
Mm.
interested in what you can't evaluate the whole book based on 2 chapters, but I was just wondering what your thoughts were at that point.
For sure. I think if this were maybe a less niche topic, I would consider like getting the book and like reviewing it. But I don't know if that would be like super interesting for people to watch me go through chapter by chapter.
See, I'm kind of like you. I'm kind of like I'm interested to see what the workbook looks like at this point,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I'm like, do I really want to sit on my channel here and go through it chapter by chapter? So
Yeah.
uh, I've got a therapist. I don't know if I need this.
Right. Um, let's see.
No, my chat truly, honestly, is not
Oh
functioning.
no,
It's truly
I'm
frozen.
sorry. Well,
That's
look,
okay.
I'm the host and this is my channel, so I'm fine with keeping up with it. But I'm gonna put that on you when we do this on Wednesday because it's too much to keep up with.
On Wednesday, I will do what you did and pull it up on my computer so I can actually see
Yeah.
the chat instead of relying on my phone. Stupid phone.
Um, yeah. So Horse and Rider Wellness put a comment that I find really interesting. This whole discussion about the BPD diagnosis process has been really enlightening for me. My oldest stepdaughter was diagnosed with BPD during inpatient care over about a 5 to 7 day period at 17. Okay,
Mm.
so that raises a lot of red flags for me, like I talked about in the video, that like
Yeah.
that's a very short period of time if she didn't come in with any previous diagnoses. So I'd be curious in that case. Now, I'm not trying to confirm or reject your stepdaughter's diagnosis, but I'd be curious if there had been previous hospitalizations, if there had been previous behaviors that would indicate borderline personality disorder, and about like her relationships and how that went, and also why they felt the need to diagnose her with that at 17 years old. That seems very early. But like I don't know any of the history of the case, but you're right that does seem like an atypical diagnostic process. I know a lot of the pushback from people were saying that like, oh, you're too idealistic, like it's not a perfect world out there, and you address this in one of your reaction videos too, that like it's true that no provider is going to do things perfectly, but we have ethical standards and professional practices that we are trying to do things the right way now. A lot of times corners will get cut, people get burned out in the healthcare field. These aren't excuses, but the reality is that some people will do things not so professionally for one reason or another. And that's a reality that we have to live with, which sucks. And that's the reason that we have licenses and you can report people to the state board of licensure. There can be repercussions for not doing things correctly. But ideally, yes, this should not be something that's diagnosed so quickly. Again, I don't have a lot of context for that, but that would be kind of my thoughts.
Yeah, Horse and Rider is one of my people, and they comment frequently with very good stuff. So I liked when you were going over the 9 criteria, how you mentioned that a
Mm-hmm.
lot of that you were like, yeah, this is basically adolescence, and I thought that was no, I thought that was really important though,
Uh-huh.
because like the stereotype of the angsty teenager. I mean, I know not everybody went through their goth phase,
Yeah.
but everybody did go through being a teenager and not fitting in and feeling aggravated about the fact that they're not the person they thought they I should be this person and nobody likes me, and that we all went through something similar to that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting that a lot of the criteria for the BPD seems to be basically being stuck in adolescence, it seems like.
Yeah, it seems like, of course, it's to an exaggerated degree.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, I think like the mildest form you would see, like, this is rather, yeah, adolescent, I guess, would
Gotcha.
be, yeah. Um, Christy Delman asked, do professionals like you determine your client's intelligence?
Wow.
I guess like that would depend on kind of what you mean by that. Of course, I'm always trying to assess like if there's some kind of deficit that might make communication difficult. Um, but in terms of like, I don't do IQ testing. That you would probably go to like a psychologist for something like that. So not in the sense like I'll give you a number, but in the sense of is this going to be an issue um, in terms of communication and our process?
So you're looking more at like cognitive ability and less at like,
Yeah,
are you
it's more
like,
functional for me.
yeah. As an anthropologist, I have to have an issue with the IQ. So we don't need
That's
an
fair.
IQ in here.
Do you want to jump on your soapbox real quick?
That's fine. That was enough jumping the fence. It's a very short soapbox.
Okay. Yes. Rocky's Wooby says burnout happens in the medical field, but there are ways to deal with it. This includes therapy, et cetera, to ensure you don't cause harm to the patient. Yeah, absolutely. And so this is definitely something that I encourage all of my colleagues and anyone who's in mental health or the medical field to be taking care of themselves, and because that affects, especially for us counselors who ourselves, our presentation are the intervention basically. Like you got to take care of that. You got to make sure that um, that you're functioning well for your clients, or else you do stand the risk of doing some harm, which is always unfortunate.
Now, I know that you are very physically active and that you have a spiritual life. Do you also have a therapist of your own that you go see, or is there kind of like a group thing that you do to kind of
Right.
help you stay grounded? Or, you
Yeah.
know,
So I have seen a therapist before. There was a winter a few years back where I was going through some. Looking back, I think it was something depressive, but there was just like I was losing some of my sense of purpose and passion for some of the things that I was normally very invested in, and so I did some counseling for that. I don't think it was the greatest time,
No.
but I did it, and you know, whether it was the counseling or whether it was me, you know, continuing with the patterns I've done, like you said, with exercising, with being involved with my faith, those are all things I think help carry me through, and I've been fine since. So I don't do it on like an ongoing basis. That's just not my philosophy of how counseling works. Um, but in that sense,
Yeah,
I'm not against doing it if the situation arises.
yeah, you seem to be very, I don't want to say adamant, but you were very focused on, it's not a forever thing. Therapy's not a forever thing. You want people
Yeah.
to deal with the problem or learn their coping mechanisms and then go out into the world and thrive.
Hmm.
Um, I thought that was a nice take too.
Yeah, and there are going to be people within my field who are more educated than me who will disagree with me. So I
No,
think it's a feature of the training that I've been through, the program that I went through that I studied at, and then also where I did my residency and my internships and all of that, that they all kind of took that philosophy of counseling. And so that makes sense for me. And then I tell my clients, hey, if you want somebody on an ongoing basis, I'll happily refer you after, you know, we kind of meet our current treatment goals. After you meet your goals here, if you want somebody to kind of walk with you through a lot of your life, then I don't do that, but someone else definitely will.
yeah.
I think my chat on my computer died, so
Oh,
now I'm gonna be hopefully, yeah, we're gonna have
good
to
job.
figure this out.
You had
Uh,
one job. You did one job.
I don't know. You all says therapy. Can you go through the book and explain what it really means? Oh man, somebody does want me to get the book.
Well, if you
And
bring it up, people are going to ask you to do it.
I
There's
know.
going to be at
And
least a
can you
handful
put
of
clips
people.
of what she claims against what the book actually says? Because her perception causes most of her issues. I don't know that I'm willing to take that on. Because from what I understand, she hasn't pulled out the book again since. So I
No,
don't know if there's much to compare against.
since your video, I don't know if she's watched your video because she hasn't made mention of it, but she
Um,
has said that she's not going to be sharing any more of the workbook with us, which could
uh,
mean a number of things. Again, she has a pattern. So it
mm-hmm,
could be that she is in the part of her cycle where she falls off the wagon. Basically, she just stops
mm-hmm,
doing whatever it is. Or it could be that she saw your video or someone reacting, not necessarily me, but someone else reacting
yeah,
to your video and has decided she doesn't like the criticism that she received. And
mm,
so she's not going to share the book with us at all anymore. It's probably more the first than the latter. So I wouldn't worry about it, like you ruining it for her, but
yeah,
it kind of coincide. But it's probably more she got the workbook, she got excited about the workbook, she did the first
yeah,
couple chapters, and then she flipped to the third chapter and she's like, oh, wait, I actually have to do work. And that's probably put the book down and didn't pick it back up again.
yeah. B. Lynn asks, I was taught when studying psychology that every therapist needs a therapist to be healthy in their work/field. May be a separate video that I do. I'm gonna write
That
that
would
down.
be that would be a good video, actually.
Yeah,
How do therapists get therapy?
yeah. See, like I feel like that's one of the limitations of my field that like a lot of people or a lot of YouTubers will like film them doing stuff either with their work or like them taking part in like
Oh,
I
yeah.
I can't record a therapist at work. I just can't do that.
No, I don't understand people who sometimes people will record themselves at their
Uh,
therapy sessions and they'll share it, and I'm just like, why are you doing that? Even if
that
it's
would
just something
terrify
mundane.
me if somebody did that.
I know. Why are you sharing that with us? This is the internet, for God's sakes. That's something that Amber will do. She'll share what she and her therapist talked about, or
Yeah,
supposedly. And I'm just like, if this really is what you and your therapist were talking about in your session, like, why are you talking about it? Like, I don't want you to bottle it up and never talk about it again, but don't
right.
share with the internet.
Hmm. Yeah. Meowie's got a question. I think this will probably be the last one because we're hitting up on, well, we're past the hour mark.
Okay.
How would you encourage someone to keep seeking therapy if it seems like they might be considering quitting?
Mm.
And I do apologize. A lot of these questions were directed towards me. I was trying to hold a lot of those until I
No,
guessed it on
people
your
are
channel.
interested. People are interested in you because you are the unique one here.
um, so if they were considering quitting and they were my client, I would ask them what made them bring up the discussion in the first place. I would thank them for bringing it up because that's hard to do. It's hard to tell your therapist you want to fire them or quit therapy. So I thank them for their openness. What is not working for them in the process? Is it the tools that we're using don't agree with them? Is it they feel like they're not making progress? Is it something with my communication or our relationship? And then if there are things that we could change in order to make that work for them. So this isn't necessarily me just trying to hang on to my clients because, oh, I can't have them leave. But it's just like, I think it's good practice, even if they do decide to leave, for them to think through why they are responding the way they are, why they're making the choices that they're making, especially if they have a pattern of unstable relationships anyway. Um, this isn't with everybody, but just like if we're specifically talking about something like borderline personality disorder, let's at least have some awareness. What's not working for you? What feels off for you? Why do you feel like you need somebody new or not need therapy anymore? And some people are absolutely right. Like we talked through some of the reasons why they're quitting, and maybe they just think they've gotten all they need from therapy and at that time, and um, that's fine too. If I have some concerns, I'll raise them, but at the end of the day, it's their choice too. I can't force them to come. So that's kind of how I'd approach that conversation.
I really liked. I mentioned your video that you put up the other day about
Mhm.
how you deal with a client that is lying, and that's something a lot of people were asking about as well. It's like because we were discussing a lot of people are convinced that Amber lies. She's a lying liar
Mhm.
who lies, which means she
Yeah.
probably lies to her therapist as well. And I thought your response to that was pretty interesting, where you were like, I'm not a, what did you say?
Yeah, I'm not a lie detector.
Yeah, I'm not a lie detector. And I thought beyond that, that was interesting. But could you, I know you made a video about it, but could you kind of like summarize it for everybody just one last time?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Uh, so if it comes to light that someone was dishonest, and this we're talking about like intentionally dishonest, if they've been lying to me, and this mostly comes up when it comes to addiction, people who are maybe disguising how much they're using, or if they've relapsed and they don't want to share that with me, but somehow it gets out. Um, what I do is I talk about, okay, what emotions were going on behind the scenes? What made you feel like you had to lie? Why was it safer or more expedient for you to be dishonest rather than tell the truth about what happened? Right? Like, and I reiterate to them, I don't have any authority to get you in trouble. Like, by the very laws of like confidentiality and all of that stuff, like, and also that I'm not their parent. I don't have authority to get you into trouble, but you still felt like it was safer to lie. What's that about? What are you protecting? What are you guarding against, whether it's admitting that to yourself or having to own up to it to somebody else? Um, so I treat it as any other behavior that's not working for the client. Let's examine it. Let's examine the motivations. What's the pattern going on here? And would it be better for you in the long term if we change that? And if they analyze that and honestly say no, then can't do anything about that. Like I'll just say, okay, well, you've at least thought through your decision. At least you are mindfully making the choice at this point instead of doing it by habit.
So potentially you're like, well, you're a lying liar who lies, and you're going to continue to lie.
That's fine. If they can identify these are the short-term and long-term pros and cons of it, and then they say, this is still better for me, then what am I going to say about that?
Well, yeah. I mean, are there situations where you could potentially see lying as a benefit to a patient? Because I mean, typically we're like, oh, lies are bad, and
Right.
I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but
Yeah. I would say there are people who are maybe in abusive or neglectful situations who lie because of a concern for their own safety. I've seen that, and that's a really hard situation to be in, where if they felt like they could be honest, then in some cases I can actually, because of concerns for their safety, violate the rules of confidentiality to report that abuse. But maybe they're scared of the retaliation from their, potentially their abuser, that they don't feel like they can be honest. And that point, like, that is just an impossible situation to be in.
Right. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, because well, yeah. I mean, how do you convince that person that you can keep them safe? You know.
Right. Right. And that's what I tell clients. I don't go home with you. Like
Right.
I'm here for you, but I'm here. Like,
No, I
so
thought that was
there's
a
a
really good point
limitation.
that you made in your video too. You know that
Yeah.
you don't go home with these people. It's just you have a home as well. So
Hmm.
I thought that's a really important point. Um,
Yeah.
aha! I turned this around on you. Like I did that. I didn't mean to do that. Anyway,
But yeah. Well, thank you so much for spending the time with me today.
yeah, this is fun.
This was super fun. I loved the conversation and I love the chat. So I think, going forward on Wednesday, everybody please tune in on Wednesday as well if you can. We're going to try to streamline some things, find some ways to do this better.
Yeah,
Hopefully the technology will work a little smoother, and then we'll just pick up from there, and Tiny Blue will have her own
yeah.
agenda
I'll
to
do
follow
that
through.
on
And
my phone.
yeah,
So yeah,
but yeah,
super
for
fun.
all of you who chatted, had questions, and super chats, thank you all so much for tuning in. Most of all, just thank you for watching. Like, this is so humbling for me, and I hope I echo what you think too, Tiny Blue, that like people are here to listen to our opinions, and that is not something I take lightly. So I do appreciate that and your time and your attention. That's just amazing.
Now I'm always happy with I'm always happy with my audience. I'm always impressed that they show up. I'm always impressed with the questions they ask. I don't
Hmm.
have a lot of troublemakers. I'm always just really, I guess I'm kind of proud of them. I guess if that sounds
Yeah,
weird, but yeah, I'm happy with my audience. I think they're good
they,
people. So
yeah. Well, we will be back at it on Wednesday night, same time, 9:30 Eastern time. And again, we will have a giveaway of one Mental Athlete Apparel hat that night. We'll work out how we're gonna do that. I'm not quite sure yet.
I have a solution for you.
Oh,
Actually, my
good.
mom figured it out. So
Okay,
I
that's
think it'll
awesome.
be yeah.
So
So
Tiny Blue's gonna have it figured out basically how it's gonna work. Whoever wins the drawing or whatever we end up doing, you can DM me on Instagram. I'll get your address, and then, or no, I could probably get you a gift card for the Mental Athlete Apparel store. Um, but if you'd rather have me order it and send it to you, we can do that as well. Whatever you feel safer with.
all right.
But yeah, that's how we'll do it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, thank you for hosting. I appreciate this, and
yeah,
thank you for dipping your toe into Girl World so far.
yeah. And we'll be back at it on Wednesday. See you all then.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
That button.